All right, Blakk Too Strong Mega-Blast, Aziatikk Black. I'm sitting here with Miss Hilda Casin, founder of the Black History Gallery in McComb, Mississippi. How you doing, ma'am?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
Okay, I was pleased yesterday to come and see your facility you have here. And it says here you've been in operation since 2001, am I correct?
That's right, we were starting.
Okay.
We had our official opening in 2002.
Okay. All right. So what made you what made you do this? Tell us a little bit about it.
Coming up with our schools, we always had our pictures in the hall, things that we could remember about our school days. And once we got into the desegregation, we found that the pictures were taken off the walls and put somewhere. Mm-hmm. People would come back to visit and say, well, where are pictures? You couldn't find any pictures.
Right.
And there was really no one to appeal to get them. So when I retired and I was able to get this house, I thought about it. What better place would there be to have our history? Mm-hmm. To have a place where not only would we have school day pictures, but pictures and information about things that we have done. We've done some outstanding things, and they were not really being presented so our young people would know. So we got busy working on the house, cleaning it up, and fixing it up. I had a neighbor, and my son-in-law came over to help, and we did all the work. Mm-hmm. We didn't get a grant. Most of the people who come by to visit after we got this started wanted to know, what grant did you get?
Right.
We granted out of my pocket.
Wow.
That's how we got it. And I would go from place to place. As we would travel, we would see different artifacts and things that represented our history. And then I thought about, where did we come from? Mm-hmm. We came from the continent of Africa. How many people really know that? All we could remember is that we were slaves, we were out there in the cotton field. Mm-hmm. Okay, but there were African kings and queens, mm-hmm. and those people needed to be featured. And I never heard of any African king and an African queen. Mm-hmm. When you see something on television, usually the lady looked white. Queen Nefertiti didn't look black. Right. She looked white.
Yes,
but
ma'am.
She was black.
Mm-hmm.
And we had all of those different kings. So I've been able to accumulate a lot of material mm-hmm. that you can actually look at. You don't have to take my word for it. Mm-hmm. Budweiser put out a very nice, you couldn't call it a booklet, it's a display mm-hmm. showing the African people.
Right.
Very good. We have a chart that shows the continent of Africa because we have people coming in. They don't know one thing. What is a continent? Is what I ask a lot of young people.
Yes, ma'am.
And they look at me and, what's a continent? I don't know what a continent is. Well, wait a minute now. We came from the continent of Africa. Let's look at the continent.
Right.
What's surrounding the continent? Mm-hmm. Oh, water. So a continent is a body of land surrounded by water. On which continent do you live? Mm-hmm. They want to come to North America. Right. Sure enough. Where do you live? What county do you live in? See, so you get mm-hmm. into a lot of things when you start talking about our history. Right. Then how did our people get to this country? What talents did they bring? What did they have before they got here? When we talk about the pyramids, what's a pyramid? Mm-hmm. Oh, that's that big old stone thing that they built over there, and it went way up into there. They didn't have any hammers and they didn't have any. Well, why did they do it? Well, they were trying to preserve the kings mm-hmm. who died. So right. they put those kings in those pyramids, in those tombs. They put food in there for them. They put clothing. They put chains and clothes. They had found out that she didn't come back. Right. But all of these are now places that people visit, and it's about our history.
Yes, ma'am.
It's about our history.
Yes,
We
ma'am.
invented so many things
Uh-huh.
over here in this country to make life easier.
Yes, ma'am. Definitely.
You know, think about, there's some basic things that we had. When we come, we look at how the people worked, we look at how they cooked, how they took care of themselves,
Mhm.
how they took care of the white people that they had to take care of. They used a lot of special talents in
Mhm.
order to do those things. They built homes. We built White House. We
Mhm.
did.
Right. Mhm.
It's not being acknowledged. It wasn't acknowledged initially.
Right. They kept those things hid for many of years.
We also need to be aware of the fact that it was not allowed for anybody to teach a black person to read.
Mm-hmm.
When the blacks were brought to this country, they came from different parts, different sections of Africa.
Mm-hmm.
They spoke different languages, so they couldn't even communicate with each other, even with them being slaves.
Right.
You know, and that was so interesting when you think about it, how they communicated. Eventually,
Mhm.
they used the drums to send messages.
Right.
They would sing to send messages. Think about the song "Steal Away."
Mm-hmm.
Okay, think about it. You are on a plantation. You plan to slip away,
Mm-hmm.
so you do your singing.
Mm-hmm.
The massa didn't know
Exactly what
that
was going on.
meant.
Mm-hmm.
So you would meet up at certain places
Mm-hmm.
in order to get away, and you didn't always get away.
Right.
Okay, because they followed us down through those fields and down through the forest, and our people learned to follow the stars.
Mm-hmm.
That's something. Do we know what's up there now? Do we even look up? See, a lot of
Most
us,
of us don't.
you know, we have no earthly idea what's, but that was a guiding star.
Yes, ma'am.
You talk about somebody named Harriet Tubman. Who was Harriet Tubman? She was a lady who helped slaves to escape, and she was able to lead some 300 people
Mm-hmm.
from the slave camps, and they had a reward out for her, dead or alive.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, some of those slaves who were captured and returned to the massa told stories about what they saw. And we have a book in here that has to do with Sweet Clara and the Freedom Quilt.
Mm-hmm.
In her book, she made a quilt, and that quilt showed the first tree, the next hiding place, the next hiding place, and the next hiding place.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something that's good for our young people to know, because we expect an easy life. Life is not easy, even if you're not a slave. Sorry about that.
Right.
There are things that you have to undergo. There are things that you have to master. There are things that you have to just tighten up and pray about.
Mm-hmm.
But that escaping from slavery, and also think in terms of there were people who helped our people escape. See, some people say, well, I don't like white people. I don't like any white people at all because they kept them. Well, all white people didn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
There were white people who provided a place, a safe haven for blacks as they were escaping.
Mm-hmm.
They had places
Yes, ma'am.
built in their homes where they would hide you, because when the people chasing you would come, then they would go in and inspect a lot of those people's houses. But if you were up in the attic or you were down in that bottom where they closed the thing
Mm-hmm.
once you were there.
Mm-hmm.
And our people were mailed in boxes to different places.
Yes,
They
ma'am.
were put in a big wasn't a cardboard box, it had to be a wooden box.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
just think about how they would take a box and throw it up on the ship, or throw it up on wherever it was,
Mm-hmm.
and bang that poor person up.
Right.
And eventually they got to a safe haven. There is so much that our people need to know about the tenacity that's being able to withstand, being able to hold on, to not give up. The buildings that we constructed, those mansions. We have a place in Vicksburg where people visit, and the mansions have names, and those slaves built those places. In Vicksburg, Natchez. And then when we look over on the wall here and see that little shanty that we had to live in with the little tin roof, and a lot of the places didn't even have floorboards. So you had the little covering around you, but then you were actually on the ground on the inside. And yet, our people survived. There were so many ugly things that were done to our people.
Yes,
but
ma'am.
Yet, they survived.
Yes, ma'am.
There's a picture over here with that man hanging out of that tree. He's hanging there. Somebody will answer one day for that man being in that tree.
Yes, ma'am. Definitely. Okay.
We have an interesting book in here that's entitled Without Sanctuary. Somebody went across this country and made a record of all of the black people who were murdered. How people would have a church service and announce at the end of the church service that we are going to kill a nigger. And they would all go outside and they would have this person and they would castrate him and do whatever they were doing, hang him up in the tree and then burn him and take little parts of him. And, very inhuman, very non-Christ-like, coming out of a church. Now, I don't know what you're preaching about in the church.
Right. Let me ask you a question with that. Coming through those years, now a lot of us didn't experience that. I didn't have I didn't come through those times where I experienced it. How did your attitude develop during those years? Did it bring about a sense of a feel of hate or anger? How did you? What kept you level-headed during those times?
My determination was that I am better than how people portray us as black people. I can learn. I can do. I am going to prove that I can do. I had an experience where they were in the process of trying to integrate Ole Miss. And I remember they had a ball game that was broadcast on, I guess, radio and television, where the governor got up in this crowd of people and said, never. They had this chant, never, never, never will anybody black go to Ole Miss. Never, never, never. And I thought about it. And after all of the ruckus that they had, tearing up the campus and the man getting killed and whatnot, a few years after then, it was time for me to go to school and get my master's. And I decided, he said never, but I'm going to apply to Ole Miss. And I applied, I was accepted. I had someone to take me up there. This was shortly after James Meredith was there.
Yes, ma'am.
So it was not a very welcoming thing. In a lot of my classes, I was the only black in the class. I remember one of my first classes, I went, I enrolled, and I'm there because you said never, and I'm here. And I'm determined I'm going to do my best. I'm going to get my degree. I walked into the classroom, there were 2 chairs left, 2 chairs on the front row. And I took the chair on the end that left this chair. This white lady came in, so the only seat that she had was to sit by me. She took her chair, picked it up and turned it around so her back would be to me. The professor turned, read the class, gasped, and I just sat there.
Right.
Because I was there for the same thing that she was there for. And I had made up my mind. God gave me a brain, and I'm going to use it.
Yes,
I am
ma'am.
just as good as you are. We're going to see. We're going to be here.
Right.
Before that session was over, the very lady who had turned her back to me not only turned around, she wanted to converse with me about the lesson and went to my dorm room.
You see that, ladies and gentlemen? You see what longevity will get you.
So you don't give up. You don't, well, you know, they don't like me or nobody wants me. God gave us a brain. There's a little saying that we have in here that says, God made a gift to us. And what we make of ourselves is our gift to God.
Right.
What we make of ourselves. So we have to make choices. We make decisions. Do we want to always be standing around with our hands stuck out for something? Or do we want to use the brain that He has given us? If you got 2 eyes, you got 2 legs, okay, and you got 2 arms, there's nothing about working for what you have.
Right.
Study. You have to stay up. You have to burn midnight oil in order to pass your classes. You don't go somewhere expecting somebody to do your work for you, because you don't know.
Right.
But it takes you going to the library, or you going on wherever you. Some of us, you know, I guess go online, whatever they do. I didn't do them like it. When I was in school, you had a book you had to read, you had to do reports, you had to go to the library. There are all sorts of things that you had to do. But the idea that I don't want to read, that it's free. Nothing is free. I don't care what color you are. Nothing is free.
Remember that, people. Nothing is free.
Nothing.
And I heard you use the term burn midnight oil. I used to hear my grandmother say that. Could you explain to the people exactly what that means?
You have to stay up late to do whatever it is that you're trying to do. You don't give up. You don't, if there's no saying, if at first you don't succeed, try again. Okay? Nothing just falls into your lap. It's just like raising children.
Okay.
They don't get grown at birth.
Right.
They don't get grown when they first make their first steps.
Right.
You have to keep working with them. You mold and you twist it, and you turn around and you do a little bit more to it, and you go back and you look at, well, that could use a little refinement, that could use a little fixing. But we give up too quickly, and we give up on things where we should be pursuing them, and then some stuff we shouldn't be doing it.
Right. Well, there's a lot of things that we come through now that we shouldn't be doing, and you know, well, we'll talk about that on another subject. But anyway, during those years, you kept moving, and you got to the point where you wanted to do this Black History Gallery. And upon starting this, did you have any stumbling blocks? Did the city support? How many supporters did you have, or whatnot? How did that work out?
This house belonged to a neighbor of mine. I live right across the street. He was a railroad man. He died and left the house to his step-grandson. And the step-grandson was young and running around out there having a good time, and he ended up in jail. And he lost the house. Well, the neighbor across the street paid the taxes and got the house back, and the fella got out of jail, and she wanted to keep his information, and he didn't want her to have it. So she said, well, if you don't want me to help you, so be it. And eventually, all of his friends, his wayward friends, started coming up in here, staying with him, and they'd beat him up and throw him out the door, and he ended up back in jail, and the drug people moved in. Well, I saw a parade of young people coming in and out, and I very quickly figured out what they were doing. The adults were having them dispense the drugs out in the community, and I started calling the police department and the Narcotics Bureau and whatnot. So they got tired of that old nosy lady.
Longevity again, y'all.
Right, so they just disappeared in the middle of the night. They just left, but it was bad. It wasn't a good thing for the neighborhood at all.
Right.
So once they got out and the vagrants started staying in, and I tried to find out who owned the property, and eventually I caught up with the last person who had paid the taxes, and I bought it from him.
Okay. All right.
And then we started trying to clean it up. It took 4 dump trucks to haul all the refuse out of here.
Are you serious?
Serious. You didn't have steps at the front door. The back had fallen in. The people would come in their nice cars. That's why I knew them were drugs. They'd come in their nice cars and they would step in the windows. So see, when I started working on, I had fellas put the windows up high. You're not gonna step up in the windows.
Right.
So that's why all these windows are up, and we had to put the back on. But I took my personal money. I retired from working for the school district in 2000, and then I started on this in 2001. I had a little neighbor right down the street who was practicing carpentry, and he said he would help me after I talked to some of the professional people who told me how much they would charge. I thought, I don't know what kind of work you're talking about.
Right.
So the fellow said, well, we're practicing and we'll work with you. We'll help you. So, and I love him to death because I wouldn't have had it not been for him.
Yes, ma'am.
And they came in and they had paneling in it and the railroad plastic, that whatever that tar stuff, that was from that railroad stuff, so it would burn up as soon as you catch on fire.
Right.
So we pulled all that. I would come each day and I would the cleanup person. I would rake it up, take it out, they would wham, and I bought all or whatever, and then paid them.
Wow.
And we got it to this point. That's why it looks, you can see the crudeness in it. Well, they were doing the best they could. Now, remember, they were practicing. Okay, and I remember getting this piece of carpet from West Building, and I caught myself putting a piece of carpet down. Lord knows I'll never do that again. I thought my back would break. Now, that was some heavy carpet. But now think about it. Look at it.
Right.
It's been here since 2000, since I started in 2001. So evidently I got the carpet in 2000, 2001. And that's what you see is what
original, what you put down.
And she took the little stuff to tape it together.
Yes, ma'am.
And Mr. Hollins was nice enough to send somebody over here one day, and he fixed the door back here to the bathroom.
Yes, ma'am.
We didn't have a door at the bathroom. That was open.
Right.
So that was that was one of his, because he makes contributions to us now. He helps us, he and his wife.
Right.
But it would, and I would go to the antique shops and you could find nice things. That stool over there, I bought it. Can't remember what I paid for it, but anyway, I went to Summit and got the material and redid the stool, and I went downtown one day and I saw a stool down there for $400. And just like that stool, because that's real wood.
Right.
Those are real chairs. I'd find this. I'd find it and I'd buy it and wag it up in here.
All yourself.
Yeah, all myself.
Man, hey, listen now, for just for the record, this is what work and self-determination can do for you.
That's right.
Just a lot of us look, we have good intentions from the heart. We want to do things, but when we look into what it takes, we give up.
That's right.
Immediately.
Oh, yeah.
Out of the mind, we give up.
Mm-hmm.
We don't even try.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna take my money and do it either.
Right.
See, that's the thing. You can't get something for nothing.
Right.
Somebody has to sacrifice for somebody else. And that's one thing that we need to learn as black people.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. King could have been at home with his wife and his children while he was running all up and down the country, trying to speak up for somebody, trying to do something for somebody. A lot of those other men could have been at home enjoying the 3 meals a day and all of the luxuries that other people had, but instead, James Meredith, when they got through with him, people talk about him and say he all right upstairs. He made the sacrifice. Look at all the people who have gone to Ole Miss behind him, and somebody had to go to breakfast with him, go to lunch with him, had to stand outside his door for protection. How many people would have stayed in school for that?
Well, actually, most of them don't even have the guts to even try. They're too scared to even take a chance like that, especially for something positive. Now, we'll take chances on our lives for the negative stuff, but the positive stuff, yes, ma'am. Then we don't put our foot forward for that.
That's right.
Another thing I wanted to ask you about is the artifacts, the African artifacts. How did you, as a matter of fact, before we get into that, where exactly did all the ideas come from? Did they just manifest, or was it something that for years you wanted? How did that come about?
That was just a part of our history. Having been a classroom teacher, there are things that we need to know. And if you're going to talk about your history, what are some things of your history that you need to have that you could show to children or show to people? Because so many of us are, show me.
Right.
I just don't believe it. And when you have the opportunity to gather pictures or to gather artifacts, here it is. Now, whether you believe in it, here it is.
Right.
Now, walk in here and look at it. Now, and some people get offended that, oh, how dare you, you make us look bad. I've had some people to say, well, nobody was trying to make you look bad. In other words, you're ashamed of your heritage and your culture. I don't know whether it's the shame of the heritage. You did something that I should have done, and if you hadn't done it, then we'd all be all right. Right. I understand. We'd be all right because you make us a case in point. Years ago at church, we were told that you paid tithes. And that's what the Malachi said. Do you rob God? You do him in tithes and offerings. Because you don't pay tithes, you don't pay alms, so you're robbing God. So be so. We used to make a list of sister so-and-so paid so-and-so, brother so-and-so paid so-and-so. And this lady came up to me and said, you shouldn't be paying like that because you make us look bad. Now, mind you, I started off making $130 a month for 8 months. Yes, ma'am. So we weren't making any money. So if you put $12 and that person wanted to put $1, then that person said you made them look bad. Well, you chose to give whatever you wanted to give. Yes, ma'am. And see, you have that kind of mentality. It should be done, but don't you do it because it makes my conscience guilty that I didn't do something that could leave a mark for my people. Because I'm not taking anything away from here. Okay? And this is what a lot of us don't realize. You didn't bring anything, and you're not going to take anything. And if you don't make the world a better place, because that's what it's supposed to be about, your tracks should encourage somebody. Yes, ma'am. And if you can't encourage somebody to do something that's positive, you know,
what are you here for?
you know, then when you stand before the Lord and He asks you, did you feed my sheep? Did you tend to my children? Did you see about my elderly people? Did you see about those young folk that you know need some guidance, need some? We had Sunday school Sunday, and we had 3 young people in our church.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and you know, young people just don't go anymore. So we had to take the opportunity then to tell them how to take care of themselves, how to have pride in themselves, how to not to succumb to everything that you see that's going around. Because all that glitters is not gold.
Mm-hmm.
Run out there and grab it if you want to.
Right.
Just like the man that committed suicide in prison. Okay, you may have left all those multi-millions of dollars, but when you stand before the Lord, but you didn't take any of it with you. They're not going to put any in your coffin.
Couldn't do that.
A good example is,
Right.
lady was, this is a little sideline though, but it was told that a lady was married to a man, and he really liked his money, and he was sick, and prognosis was he wouldn't make it. So he told his wife, I got $35,000 in the bank, and when I die, you put my $35,000 in that bank with me, in that coffin with me. You hear? And she told him, okay. So he died, and they had a nice funeral for him. And after the funeral, somebody said, did you put his $35,000 in the casket like he told you? And she said, yeah. I wrote him a check.
Okay then. Now, she pulled one then. I like that one. Y'all remember that one. Okay, these artifacts, these African artifacts, how did you acquire them? Were they given? Did you have to buy them? Were they donations, or a little bit of it all?
A little bit of all.
Okay.
I bought 99% of the artifacts that we have in here.
Okay.
Okay, we have a few that, we had a couple of white fellas who came along.
Mm-hmm.
Those two right there, the young fella said his grandmother visited in Africa.
Okay.
And he donated those to us. We've got a big head over here that there's one fellow who lives here who really
You got one here and one there.
Yeah, that's that great big one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now that was donated.
Mm-hmm.
That's an expensive piece.
I really like the one that's in the front.
That lady.
Yeah.
That's the motherland.
Yeah.
Now, there was a white fella who came through McComb selling African artifacts.
Mm-hmm.
And the fella that knew me called and said that they would be at a store over there somewhere. And I went to the store and I saw her.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I'm going to get her. I don't care where she calls, I'm going to get her.
Mm.
And, you know,
Yeah, I really like that one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, me and my son
She
stopped and
tells the
stared at
story.
it. Yeah,
She tells the story.
Yes, ma'am. She does.
She represents the motherland, and that's what it is, that she nurses her baby.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when how people first started coming, oh, it was just so funny, because everybody naked. Ooh, you know.
Right.
Well, wait a minute now. This is an African artifact. Come on, just keep looking. That's the way they're supposed to be.
Right.
And I don't, well, we don't get that much. We don't have a lot of visitors, but we don't get that now.
Mm-hmm.
Because at least the idea now is this is an African artifact.
Right.
And this is how they are made.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter, who finished at Jackson State, had one of her professors to visit.
Mm-hmm.
And that little stool right there.
The small one here.
The small one.
Yes,
That's the
ma'am.
one that she brought back from Africa.
Right.
And when she came to visit, she brought that as a donation to the gallery.
That's good.
Uh-huh.
You were telling me yesterday, when you was just speaking about the nakedness of some of the artifacts, the story about Adam and Eve when they were placed in the garden. Could you share that with the people?
Yes. And I guess that's why we really need to read our Bible.
Mm-hmm.
In the beginning, when God created the heavens and the earth, and he made all of the things that he made, the fowl of the air and the fish of the sea and all of the plants. And then he said he needed somebody to take care of what he made. So he made man first. Now he scooped down there and made man out of the dust of the earth, and he told man, you are going to be responsible for everything that I've made. I put you in charge. And you know, I wish our men knew that today. I'm very, very disturbed that our men don't realize God put them in charge of everything that he made. Then he said, well, then one man be here by himself, so he put man to sleep. And God performed the first operation, put man to sleep, and he took a rib out of man. You bang around on your chest because you got ribs up under there. He took one of those ribs and he made the lady, and he called her woman, and he told her she would be Adam's helpmate. He named the man Adam, named her Eve, put them out there in a beautiful garden. Just imagine all of the plants, all the butterflies. You know, they said butterflies are getting extinct now.
Right.
You don't see many of the butterflies. You don't see the bees. You don't see the little toad frogs. You remember? We grew up, we had the little frogs and all that kind of stuff. We just killing up the world. He put them out there, and he had all the trees with every fruit, everything man needed to eat. But there was one tree. He said, don't touch this tree. If you touch this tree, you will surely die. And you know what? Boy, and we so hard-headed as a people.
Couldn't wait.
And I think that's why we got captured from Africa, because we were hard-headed, okay? But old Eve, this is the lady, she was pretty. Oh, I'm sure she went over there and she got one, though. She let that snake tell her, though. She didn't use her common sense when that snake came stepping up there. And mind you, the snake was standing up, folks. Upright. He was standing up. And he went over there and told her, oh, you know, you meet that thing not gonna, you know, you're not gonna die. You're just gonna be smart. You're gonna have a lot of sense. And see, that's what we do when we get off in those beer bottles and we start messing with those drugs. When they tell us, you know, don't buy those drugs, that stuff make you crazy. Oh, I'm gonna try it anyway. No, I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna try it.
I heard.
I heard, you know, and he said it'll be all right. So she went on there, she got that apple, and she carried over there to Eve, over there to Adam, and told him, let's taste it. Oh, it tastes good. And poor Adam didn't have sense enough to say, well, no, God told me.
Right. As the man.
He told me, because he put me in charge.
Right.
And I jumped out there, and he tasted that apple. And then God came out into his garden, and Adam and Eve hid. Where do you think they hid? And God started calling them, you know, where are you? We were hiding. Why are you hiding? We naked. Who naked?
Who told you that?
Who told you were naked? Who? And folks, that's how we got messed up.
Right there.
We got messed up right there. And what God do? Get your tails out of my garden.
You kicked them out.
Get on out of here. Get on out of here, and you're going to be working, Adam. You're going to work. You're going to have sweat coming out of your brow, because that's how you're going to make a living. And Eve, you're going to have babies, and it's going to hurt. You're going to have the babies, and it's going to hurt. Okay? Because you were you could have stayed in here forever. And you know what? And all of that passed down on us. That's why our lives were messed up. That's why we were born sinners from that point on. That's why we have to accept Christ as our personal Savior. That's why John 3:16 tells us what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you don't know what John 3:16 is, you go find it.
Mm-hmm.
Because everybody needs to know it. Because one day we're all going to leave here.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to stand at another gate. And that gate will determine whether or not we accepted John 3:16.
Mm-hmm.
But let's not be hard-headed as a race of people. Let's respect each other. And remember that 10 Commandment. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee.
Mm-hmm.
If you honor your parents, you'll have a long life. But see, when you're disobedient, when they tell you to do something, I'm going to do what I want to do. Do it this way. Yeah, you know.
That's that mentality.
That mentality.
All right. So now we have African artifacts, pictures, books, charts, historical material, inventions by African Americans, positive involvement of local citizens. Let's stop there for a minute.
Okay.
Positive involvement from the local citizens. What was the percentile of people coming voluntarily, or you asking? And the reason I'm asking that is I want to kind of prove a point here, so to speak, about people, our people, as a matter of fact, helping one another when it comes to positive things. I want to kind of relay a message from someone of your status. Did you have half and half, or how was that?
We have a board
Mm-hmm.
for the gallery.
Yes, ma'am.
Some of our board members are very supportive.
Mm-hmm.
Some of our board members are named people.
Right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The community, we've had support, but not at the level that I feel we should have had it. We should have had more people saying, let's do things. Recently, one of the football coaches, I guess he's new, wanted to know what could he do to help us get ready for Juneteenth. So he brought his football team out here, and they trimmed the hedges, and they cleaned off the deck, and they did a good half day's participation.
Mm-hmm.
But I have people pass by and see me at that moment, and they, you shouldn't be doing that, and you know.
Mm-hmm.
But and then I have the gentleman who mows. He takes the money, I pay him. But to just come and say, well, look, we're going to take so many days, we need to come, even if the lady's here.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we have the community college in Wesson. Colleen furnishes a senior aide who's here Monday through Friday. She's here 4 hours. But just normally, you don't have people to come and volunteer and say, well, it's like the other. I looked out yesterday, it needed to be mowed over here, so I asked the fellow on the corner,
Mm-hmm.
will you take $15 to come mow the front front?
Mm-hmm.
And he said, yes. Well, he knows how old I am. He took that $15.
Right.
You know, pay, the attitude is pay me.
Right.
Just like you brought that box of books across the street from me.
Yes, ma'am.
If I had asked one of those fellows up down that corner, they would have expected me to give them $5 to bring the books over here.
Mm.
But
yeah, well, we have that attitude today, and one point of that, like we were talking about yesterday, about the people that came to town to visit, and they were at the restaurant that you were talking about. We have to stop that type of attitude, because when it comes to our own people, we want to charge or hold things against them. The other man acts, and usually we kind of hesitant about opening our mouths, asking for something.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, with the positive involvement of the local citizens. Myself, I didn't know about this, so I thank my uncle for pointing this out to me. My mother-in-law said that she had been over here a few times, and as a matter of fact, she brought my youngest daughter over some years ago.
She volunteered here.
Yes, ma'am.
She's helped us keep the gallery.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so.
And Mr. Holland is very supportive.
Right.
Now, anytime you call him, but now he is the supportive person.
Okay.
And when I say support, I mean support.
Right.
But now we've got folk on the board, they'll come and they'll talk.
Right.
They spew out a whole lot, but then they're going to get out of here. You know.
Get gone quick.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I want to ask for whomever that may see this vlog or interview or whatever you want to call it, to stop by. If you don't live in McComb, make sure you stop by. The address is 819 Wall Street, McComb, Mississippi 39648. Make sure you all stop by, and if you live in McComb or surrounding areas, Summit, whatever, make sure you come over and donate something. If it's a little bit of your time. This woman came and talked yesterday. I popped up. She didn't know me from anybody. But she accepted my son and I, and we sat down and talked for about 2 hours. And she let me know a lot of things that I had questions about. Now, I asked my uncle back on election day a couple of things, and he promised to sit down and talk to me about it. But I asked this woman yesterday about McComb, what was it known for? And you were telling me that it was the bomb capital of the world back in the 60s, am I correct?
That's correct.
Okay. That's correct. And that was something that I wondered about for a lot of years. So again, don't forget, if you live in the McComb area, if you live in New Orleans or anywhere in this Hammond, anywhere in this area, even my people that live in Louisiana going west, and Alabama on the east side, or you in Mississippi in a whole, please stop by and check out what she has here. And if you you will find it in your heart. A lot of y'all can do things and don't do them, but stop by and visit her.
If they give us a donation, we send a letter to them, a tax deductible donation, so that they can take it off of their taxes when they file.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Yeah, that is something that's most needed in this area. Like I said yesterday, I did not know this was here. So as my uncle and I passed by, he pointed it out to me, and I made it my point to stop back by with my son and I. And the local, state, and national celebrities, who all have you had to stop by through the course of the years you've been here and visit your place?
We've had this latest book is back there on the table. She's one of our movie stars. Can't think of her name right off.
Okay.
No, the other one. She's they just said something about her being
Bethune? Is it?
No, this young lady. It's a book, right? Hey, right there.
We'll get to it.
We've got, just can't think of her name right at the moment, but she was just mentioned for one of these awards that they are talking about. She's a movie star. Her mother lives here.
Okay. She lives in McComb?
Her mother lives in McComb.
Okay.
Okay. The young man who did the Martin Luther King Memorial, Ed Jackson,
yes, ma'am,
was born and reared here in McComb.
Okay.
And we have the little memorial, the miniature that he gave to us.
Okay.
We've the Portia, the young lady.
The Portia Renee. Yes, ma'am.
She's in the area. We've got people come in and out. I don't think the Portia has been here since she received her award. She came before she got really popular.
Right.
But we recognize our dentists. We've got people who have just gone out to do outstanding things.
Yes, ma'am.
And we got all of our Mother of the Years. When they get recognized by the Enterprise Journal, their information is here.
Okay.
The politicians,
right.
Those who win, we've had about 2 black mayors, Mayor Patterson, and now we've got our new mayor. We have the senators. One of our ladies, I met her, I saw her yesterday, Ms. Cockerham.
Okay.
She just won, she's in the process of winning one of those districts. She's also a lawyer with Wayne Dowdy. She's McComb's attorney. We tried to get that information to put it in here so when the young people come, they can say, well, I recognize so-and-so, and so if so-and-so could do something, then I can too.
Right.
So that's, let's see, Brandy Norwood's family is from here.
Right.
Brandy came through some years ago.
Okay.
But her home is right over there on Summit Street.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, her mother was in town recently.
Okay. All right.
That's Mr. Fred Bates' family. He's one of the civil rights people whose home was bombed over there on Summit Street.
Okay.
Okay. Mr. C.C. Bryant's granddaughter visited with us a few months ago.
Right.
She was teaching over at the high school.
Okay. Let's jump back for a minute. Why did they name this the bombing capital of the world? What happened?
You had people, there was unrest because black people were not able to go and register to vote. So the COFO group had looked at what was happening in the South. They recognized how important it was for votes to be cast because that would give black people the opportunity to help represent themselves. In the process of, you had the freedom riders, people who were getting on these buses in different places. And McComb didn't want any of those to come here because they had gotten as far as Jackson. But some people had really infiltrated McComb anyway. 2 young people went downtown to the bus station and went in on the white side of the station, and they were arrested. The young lady's name was Brenda Travis, and the fellow was named Ike. They put them in jail. Okay, when they let Brenda out of jail, the whites evidently told the school superintendent to tell the principal of the black school to not let Brenda back in school. Well, that created some disturbance with the students because naturally you're talking about high school students, people who have a brain, people who think. Okay, you put her in jail because she went in the white side of the place.
Right.
Okay, now that she's out of jail, you say she can't come back to school. Why? Okay, that didn't make any sense. She can't come back to school. So when she went back and they tried to, she went to whatever the principal told her that she couldn't come back, and that was because of what the superintendent had said to him.
Yes, ma'am.
Then the students got up and walked out of the auditorium, and they went down they went down Elmwood Street over to, this was a market, and the Masons had a place upstairs, and this is where the COFO people were. So
Right.
some of the students went in there with them. Then the citizens, white citizens, really got upset then, because some of them were, they just got mad at them. And the superintendent told the principal that he couldn't let the students back in school. And from one thing to the other, they told them, well, if we let you go back to school, you got to sign a form that you are not going to, I guess, you're going to be docile. That's pretty well what it amounted to.
Right.
Well, some of the students said they weren't going to do it. So that they said, well, you can't, not only can you not come to school in McComb, you can't go to school in the state of Mississippi. So they had Campbell College up there in Jackson, and that's where they said they would take as many of the students as could go. So Mr. Bates so they went to Campbell College, and he was using his bus, and they took Brenda. See, Brenda went back somewhere downtown, and they took Brenda and sent her to a reform school. And that made it worse, because then the COFO people really started coming into that was a good issue. That was something for them to hang on to, that you mistreated these students. And then the white folk really got mad. So they bombed the COFO house, which was right down the streets. They bombed the Masonic temple place where they were meeting. They bombed Fred Bates' house. They bombed Miss Aline Quinn's house, because see, Miss Aline Quinn was a business lady who had a restaurant, and she entertained some of the people, and they were after Mr. Nobles, but I guess they had so many people over there they couldn't really just drive up and throw a thing and run away the way they wanted to. They bombed Mr. C.C. Bryant's place because he was president of the NAACP. They bombed the Society Hill Church. They blew it. The pastor, what's the pastor's name? And anyway, they went and got the pastor out of his house in his pajamas and carried him to Jackson. And you can imagine what an uproar that created. They had FBI agents every which way, and then the McComb police would beat on those people. Some of those books that I was showing you back there, the Zelda Man, Tom Hayden, a lot of people came into the area to support what they call supporting the people, because what was being done was wrong. And then people had to stay up at night with guns, because they didn't know who was going to drive through the neighborhood and throw a bomb again. And then all of that publicity just went, and you just had people coming from every which way. Then the leading white citizen got so upset until they called a meeting, and they issued a statement, the principles of living, asking people to calm down and whatnot. And whoever the president was, I think it was Kennedy, said if they didn't back off, they were going to send the militia. They were going to take over the town. And they didn't want that. And then that's when they called a meeting. They hit the editor of the newspaper downtown too, when they were in the process of trying to do something.
Right here in McComb. Wow.
So
that's something.
600 people signed the statement of principles, stating that they didn't, what was going on was wrong.
Right. That is something else.
So it was a long, hot summer. It was awful.
You were you born here in McComb?
I was born here in McComb. At that time, I was teaching in Taggart. I was living across the street, so that's how I knew about the Kofo people, because they were all up and down the streets.
Right.
It was interesting.
Uh-huh.
And see, the young people are coming from everywhere. You know, when you have money, you travel.
Right.
They were coming. So one rang my doorbell one day and told me who he was, and he said that he was here because later on he would like to go and visit in Africa.
Right.
And he was trying to get a feel for what it would be like.
So he came back. Okay. All right. Now there was another story I wanted you to share with the people about the restaurant people that came by and wanted to come over here and visit with your place. And we were talking about, when I came over yesterday, what was so funny about it is we were just really walking around in the gallery, and she was sharing some of the stories, and I was asking her about some of the things that she had experienced since she was here, and she was telling me about what is the name of the restaurant that you mentioned yesterday? Spinning?
It's the Dinner Bell.
Dinner Bell, that's
Dinner
it.
Bell.
That's the Dinner Bell.
It's on the historic register.
Okay.
People really come to McComb to eat at the Dinner Bell because of the revolving tables. And this group had scheduled to come and eat.
Right.
And the lady decided that she wanted to bring the group out here to the gallery. So she had talked with me about it, and I told her that the admission fee was $5 per person. And she decided that she didn't want to pay $5 per person. So she told the person there at the Dinner Bell that she wanted to come, and that I told her she had to have the $5, and when she multiplied it times the number of people that she had, whatever it amounted to, she said she didn't have that amount of money, but she wanted to come. So the Dinner Bell man in turn called the lady who is the president of the Chamber of Commerce, and that lady called me to tell me that they wanted to come, and that I should just let them come on because it made the community look good. And I said, well, she paid the Dinner Bell. She knew what she had to pay for them, and
right.
If we have an admission fee, we have expenses just like them. We have light bill, water bill, gas bill, and all upkeep. So there was no difference in her. If she knew before she left home, and I said, and I had talked with her on the telephone prior to her coming to McComb.
Right.
And told her what the fee was.
So she already knew.
She already knew. She's just trying to influence you to make me. You're supposed to make me let them in. It doesn't work that way.
Use these people for your for an example of how you should run your business, especially a black-owned business that you have respected, and other people will follow. I wanted her to tell that story because a lot of us have businesses that we don't respect ourselves, and we want other people to respect them. And along with that, when it comes to a black business, just like I study a lot in Jackson, Mississippi, the businesses in Jackson, Mississippi. I don't know exactly what the particular figures may be, but I do know that me being a little boy going through Jackson, Mississippi, especially in the Ferris Street historic area, that there were more black businesses back in the 60s and 70s than there are now. And well, let me say it like this, more respectable black businesses, because right now we want to open strip clubs and, you know, bars and that sort of thing, something that's going to draw negative attention. But now I want people to know that places like this is very needed. I just can't say. I'm gonna say over and over again how thrilled I was that my uncle showed me this place, and I was able to stop by and meet Miss Casin and talked with her yesterday. And I'm going to invite again. I'm going to keep inviting y'all. I'm going to show this vlog over and over again because I want people to come by and support this place. And again, I'm asking the city and people in McComb, Mississippi to pay more attention to what's going on over here on Wall Street and come by and support Miss Casin, because this is a very good thing. I see you have a saying here, an anonymous saying here: the lack of knowledge is darker than night. Not to know is bad. Not to wish to know is worse. So knowledge of self and community development is very needed today, because we are in very bad times. And a point about the story that she just told: stop going by your black businesses and asking for something free. You'll go by a white business and see a cockroach on the floor, and you'll go back again and again and again. But if you go by a black business and you see a fly on the wall, then you'll go spread it throughout the neighborhood and try to stop as many people as you can from going by visiting. Is there any messages that you would like to tell the youth and people out there in TV land or Facebook land or whatever whatever?
Be the best of what you can be.
Mm-hmm.
And I need to add also that we are a 501c3
Mm-hmm.
nonprofit organization.
Yes, ma'am.
We are connected with the Internal Revenue Service,
Mm-hmm.
with our state officials,
Mm-hmm.
because you're not supposed to accept any kind of fees unless this is cleared with the Secretary of State.
Mm-hmm.
So we have done all of that. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
we've cleared all those hurdles. So your money is not in vain. Whatever it is that you contribute to the gallery
Mm-hmm.
is to keep the lights on. We have our artifacts insured.
Mm-hmm.
We have our insurance on our building.
Right.
We also pay whatever fees that are necessary. We have this little thing back here where you have to be sure if you have a fire,
Mm-hmm.
that the little fire thing,
The extinguishers.
the man comes
sort of
in
thing.
to check the fire extinguisher
Mhm.
to be sure that it's operational. We've got a big space back in the back and on the side of the building.
Mhm.
When we get together, nobody has to be stepping on anybody because we have plenty of space back there.
Mhm.
So if you want to have a picnic or if you want to do something, and it's got to be legal now.
Mhm.
We're not going to accept.
Don't come with the foolishness.
No, don't bring any weapons. You angry with somebody, don't come.
Don't come this way.
Don't come this way.
Right.
We'll see you later.
Right.
But we really need to know our history. We need to be thankful for where we are now when we think in terms of how our people had to work out there. The man this morning was talking about the temperature is supposed to be 112 and 115 degrees.
Mhm.
Long time ago, our people had to go out there and work with it, regardless to how the weather was.
Mhm.
You are blessed. You have air conditioning buildings.
Mhm.
You have fans. If you don't have an air conditioned building, whatever it is, you are not out there in a cotton field. You're not out there in a potato field. You're not out there with somebody standing over you with a whip. And we
Mhm.
need to be thankful. We need to teach our children who we are, from whence we have come, and how blessed we are. And let's love each other a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mhm.
That's what it's all about.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, the Black History Gallery is located on Wall Street. That's 819 Wall Street in McComb, Mississippi. There are a bit of directions here. There's Highway 98 to Highway 51 North and Broadway. Right on Georgia Avenue, left on Summit Street, left on St. Augustine Avenue, and right on Wall Street. This is how you get here. Operating hours are 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. And let me say there's something else that I was very impressed about yesterday. This fine woman is of age, and she's running this thing single-handedly. And a lot of us don't even want to get out of the bed in the morning. And she came out in the heat yesterday. She opened her arms to me and my son, came out in the heat, walked across the street to a hot building, turned the air conditioner on, turned the lights on, and gave us a private tour. So I want to thank you for that again. Special tours are by appointment, so make sure you give her a call. The number is 601-684-1130. Again, that's 601-684-1130. Contact Miss Hilda Casin. That's C-A-S-I-N, not K-C, but Casin. She is the founder and director, and as she said before, admission $5, tax deductible donations can be made. Black History Gallery Incorporated, and that's in Mississippi. I'm proud of this place. I'll be back, inshallah. God says the same thing, and she has the official brochures and leaflets, and you can come by at any time during opening hours and meet this fine woman and talk to her personally. I thank you again, ma'am, for opening your facility.
More than welcome.
Thank you again,
Mr. Hollins is our board member. He's one of our board members with us, and we are very happy to have him.
Yes, ma'am. And I will be bringing you more of what's going on in McComb. And I thank y'all for listening to Blakk Too Strong, and we'll see y'all later.